Dear viewers, welcome to episode 7 in Transfer of Property Act 1882. In this episode, I am going to talk on sale of immovable property, and this is covered in section 54 to section 57 in the Act. Now section 54 says sale is a transfer of ownership of a property in exchange of a price as consideration paid or promised to pay, or part paid and part promised to pay. Now what are the salient essential features of the sale? They are: seller must be competent to transfer, buyer must be competent to be a transferee, he should not be disqualified to be a transferee. Subject matter must be immovable property. As we already saw it, if it is a movable property, it is covered by Sales of Goods Act. Then the transfer must be in exchange of price. The price must be paid or promised, or partly paid and partly promised. There must be a transfer of ownership from seller to buyer. The conveyance or sale deed must be registered if value is more than rupees 100. Now you can very well understand a immovable property of a value less than rupees 100 is a scarce case in today's world. So in practicality, the registration of sale deed is a must. In case if the value is less than 100, then either registered conveyance can be done, or it also happens by delivery of the property, which must take place. Delivery takes place when seller places the buyer in possession of the property. Please note, if there is any consideration in addition to money, then it is not a sale. Now let's see what is a contract for sale. Contract for sale is a contract that a sale of such property shall take place on terms settled between the parties in future. In itself, contract for sale is an agreement to sell in future and does not create any interest or charge on such property. Then even after a contract for sale agreement, the ownership still remains with the seller. So this is a basic difference between the sale deed and a contract for sale. Sale is a transfer of ownership, whereas contract for sale is a mere agreement to sell in future. This is an essential difference. Next, sale passes an absolute interest in the property to the purchaser, whereas contract for sale does not per se create any interest or charge upon the property in favor of the buyer. Sale creates right in rem, that is, right against the whole world, whereas contract for sale creates a right in personam, that is, the right only against the seller. Registration of sale deed is compulsory, whereas contract for sale need not be registered as per section 17 of the Indian Registration Act. Now let's see what are the seller's right and liabilities and what are the buyer's right and liabilities. These are classified in two types. One is before the sale and after the sale. Now let's see what are the seller's right. One, before completion of sale, he is entitled to rents and profits till ownership passes to buyer. And after completion of the sale, he is entitled to amount of unpaid purchase money. These are the seller's rights. What are the seller's liabilities? Before sale, to disclose to buyer any latent defect in the property or seller's title thereto, of which buyer is not aware but seller is aware of. Second, to produce all the documents to buyer on his request for examination, documents relating to title, etc. Third, to answer all relevant questions put to him by the buyer to the best of his knowledge. Fourth, on payment of price, to execute the proper conveyance of the property at a proper time and place. Next, between the date of agreement for sale and delivery of property, to take as much care of the property and the documents as a matter of ordinary procedure or prudence will take. And sixth is to pay all charges and rent assumed due up to the date of sale and to discharge all encumbrances on the property. After the sale, what are the liabilities of seller? Give possession to buyer or to such person he directs. Second, deliver all the documents of title to buyer while whole purchase money has been paid. It is assumed that the interest which the seller professes to transfer to buyer subsists and that he has power to transfer the same. Also, the seller is bound to give a marketable title to the buyer. If this warranty is broken, the buyer is entitled to compensation for the loss caused to him. We have seen the liabilities and rights of the seller. Now let's see what are the buyer's rights. Before completion of sale, he is entitled to a charge on the property for the purchase money paid. Second, interest on such purchase money paid. The costs awarded to him in a suit to compel specific performance of the contract or to obtain a decree of rescission in case he declines to accept delivery in case of breach of contract by the seller. This is a buyer's right. Now, after completion of the sale, what are the buyer's right? Buyer is entitled to any benefits of any improvement in or increase in value of the property, rents and profits which are accrued thereof. So, these are the buyer's property and liabilities. Now, there is a concept of marshalling by subsequent purchaser, that is given in section 56. Now it says, if the owner of two or more properties mortgages to them to one person and then sell one or more of the properties to another, the buyer, in absence of a contrary contract, is entitled to have the mortgage debt satisfied out of the property not sold to him. Let's see an illustration. A is the owner of two properties X and Y. A mortgages both these properties to C, some other person. Then B purchases property X from A. B is entitled to insist that A should satisfy his mortgage debt out of property Y, which is still unsold, in the first instance as far as possible. If even after that something remains, then only property X can be drawn upon. Now lastly, section 57 says, where immovable property subject to any encumbrance is sold by the court may, on the application of the party, direct and allow payment to be made to the court. This, in nutshell, completes this cell. In next episode, I will cover exchange and actionable claims. For any consultancy, please write to me on my email ID advsdbapat@gmail.com. Thank you.